This is the post here. Stated Shedeur Sanders' house in Cleveland suburb getting broken into during the Cleveland Browns 23-16 loss. This is her article here that has went viral. Says Shedeur Sanders' house was broken into during the Browns' loss. Shedeur Sanders had a rough debut during Sunday's 23-16 loss to the Ravens, and it only got worse when he got home. That's when he discovered that his house.
Masked burglars broke into Shedeur Sanders' home during a 12-minute window, stealing over $200,000 worth of high-value items through an unlocked door. They entered while Sanders was playing a Browns game, using a nearby tree line for access, and left before police arrived, guided by surveillance footage. Sanders' team requests privacy, and police say there's no gang involvement, noting this follows recent NFL house targeting incidents.
What if I'd told you that the burglary at Shedeur Sanders' home wasn't just a random break-in? What if the timing, during his very first game in 2025, wasn't a coincidence at all? See, while everyone's talking about stolen jewelry and broken windows, nobody's asking the real question. Who benefits from Shedeur being distracted, rattled, and desperate to leave? And when you connect the dots between the coaching staff's treatment of him, the locker room tension, and what happened that night, man, this goes way deeper than anyone's reporting. They don't want you to know this, but I'm about to break down why Shedeur's home invasion might have been an inside job, and the fingerprints lead straight back to the organization itself.
Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders faced a nightmare off the field on Sunday when his home was burglarized while he and the team were taking on the Ravens. Authorities from the Medina County Sheriff's Office confirmed that more than $200,000 worth of property was stolen during the break-in. The incident occurred in the evening, shortly after the game had begun. According to investigators, 3 suspects gained access to Sanders' home and were inside for just over 10 minutes before leaving with valuables.
This is the footage from the burglary that occurred at Shedeur Sanders' home in Ohio during his debut versus the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. Officials told TMZ Sports that $200,000 worth of property was stolen. According to a new press release, 3 suspects entered the home wearing masks and gloves around 6:46 p.m. Suspects then left at 6:58 with, quote, various property belonging to Mr. Sanders. This incident is still under investigation, and people have theorized that the culprits could be someone close to Shedeur. But what do you guys think?
All right, y'all. Let's talk about something that nobody in the mainstream media wants to touch right now. January 2025. Shedeur Sanders makes his highly anticipated debut. The kid we've been watching since Colorado, the son of a legend, finally gets his shot. And what happens? His house gets broken into. During the game. Not before, not after, during. Now, on the surface, you're thinking, okay, that's terrible, but these things happen to athletes all the time, right? And you'd be right. We've seen it happen to other star quarterbacks, tight ends, defensive linemen. There's been a pattern lately. But here's where it gets interesting. And I need you to really pay attention because what I'm about to tell you isn't being reported anywhere yet. The timing is too perfect, too calculated. Think about it. Shedeur's debut game, the one moment where everyone knows exactly where he is, exactly how long he'll be gone, exactly when the house will be empty. Cameras are on him, the world is watching, and someone decides that's the perfect moment to hit his place? Come on now. That's not opportunity, that's coordination. But let me take you back a bit. Let's talk about what's been happening behind closed doors with this organization, because this story doesn't start with a break-in. It starts weeks before, in the facility, in meetings, in practice. See, Shedeur comes in as a highly touted prospect. The fans love him. He's got the whole community behind him. He's doing charity work, visiting schools, giving back in ways most rookies don't even think about. He's building a brand, building loyalty, becoming the face people want to see leading this franchise.
Because what, you know what I'm saying, it's bad enough he got to get ready to potentially start, God willing, this upcoming weekend. Now he got to worry about somebody breaking into his house, stealing his shit. Come on, bro. Like, we got to get it together, bro. Like, the people, us as humans, dog. I know everybody don't see eye to eye, especially in the city of Cleveland, but y'all gonna have to get it together, bro. Like, this y'all city, y'all allowing my dog stuff to get broke into. Come on, bro. Like, just free the man. Let him go. Trade him, bro. Like, I am just sick of this, dog. This is just ridiculous.
And that's exactly the problem. When you've got a coaching staff that's used to controlling the narrative, used to being the ones who decide who the star is and when they get their moment, having someone like Shedeur come in with his own following, his own momentum, that's threatening. You start hearing whispers in the facility. He's a distraction. He's bringing too much attention. We need to focus on the system, not one player. Now, I'm not saying the head coach's name yet because this isn't fully public, but let's just say there's one man calling the shots, one man who decides who gets first-team reps and who doesn't. And despite Shedeur being the future, despite the fans demanding to see him, despite everything pointing to him being the answer, he's not getting those reps. He's being held back. Deliberately. You're sitting there wondering, why would they do that? Control. It's always about control. If Shedeur comes in and balls out immediately, if he becomes the clear-cut starter and the savior of this franchise, who gets the credit? Him. Not the coaching staff who developed him, not the system, him. And for some coaches, that's unacceptable. So they slow walk his progress. They make him earn it the hard way. They keep him on the bench longer than necessary. And all the while, the tension builds. The fans get restless. The media starts asking questions. And Shedeur? He handles it with grace. He says in press conferences that he doesn't want to be a distraction. He's humble. He's patient. He's doing everything right.
At this time, the case remains under active investigation and no arrests have been made. It's hard to imagine anything more stressful for a young quarterback trying to make his mark in the league. Not only was Sanders dealing with the pressure of stepping into an NFL game, but he also had to contend with the shock of knowing his personal space had been violated. The timing couldn't have been worse. On the field, Sanders' debut was challenging.
But that patience, that humility, it makes certain people even more nervous. Because if Shedeur eventually gets his shot and succeeds, despite being held back, it makes the coaching decisions look even worse in hindsight. So the pressure mounts. The organization needs something to happen that shifts the narrative, that creates chaos, that maybe even pushes Shedeur to want out on his own. Enter the break-in. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're reaching. You're making connections that aren't there. But hear me out. Let's look at the facts. This burglary happens during the game. Not just any game, but Shedeur's first game. The organization knows his schedule better than anyone. They know his address, his security setup, his routines. They have access to information that the general public doesn't. And here's the kicker. Insiders who've been around the facility are saying this doesn't add up. The community that supports Shedeur, the people who've embraced him, they're not the ones who would do this. These aren't fans turning on him. This is something else, something calculated, something designed to rattle him, to make him feel unsafe, to make him question whether this is where he wants to be long term.
You know, like, for them people to be doing this, man, it's just ridiculous. I ain't gonna lie. Says terrible Brown store quarterback homes broken into during last night game. No one was giving back more to his community than him. He deserved Brady for the city of Cleveland. So just free my dog, bruh.
Think about what happens after a break-in like this. You're an athlete trying to focus on the biggest moment of your career, and suddenly you're dealing with police reports, insurance claims, violated personal space, you're looking over your shoulder, you're wondering if you're safe in your own home. That mental toll, that's exactly what you'd want if you were trying to break someone's spirit, to make them want to request a trade, to get them to leave on their own so you don't look like the bad guy for not wanting him there. And let's be real. If Shedeur requests a trade because he doesn't feel safe or supported, who looks bad? Not the organization. They can say, we gave him a chance. He just wasn't ready for this market, this pressure. But if they bench him or trade him against his will, the fans riot. The media destroys them. So you create conditions where he wants to leave, where staying becomes unbearable. Now, I'm not saying the head coach personally picked the lock and walked through the door. But what I am saying is that there are ways to make things happen without getting your hands dirty. You mentioned to the wrong person that the house will be empty. You let certain information slip to someone who knows someone. You create the opportunity and let the pieces fall where they may. Plausible deniability. That's how these things work at the highest levels. And before you think I'm just spinning conspiracy theories, remember, this is part of a pattern we've been seeing across the league. High-profile players, especially ones with tension in their organizations, getting hit during games. It's too convenient, too coordinated. These aren't random criminals watching game schedules and deciding to rob millionaires. This is organized. This is information being shared in circles where it shouldn't be shared.
To the Ravens, and it only got worse when he got home. That's when he discovered that his house was that's in Cleveland suburb, had been broken into during the game. The break-in was first reported by Mike Florio, Pro Football's Talk. It is uncertain if anything was stolen, and no suspects has been identified. The Sanders break-in following a growing list of NFL players.
Let's talk about what happens next. Shedeur comes home after a rough debut. The game didn't go how he wanted. He's probably already in his head about his performance, about not getting enough preparation, about the coaching decisions, and then he walks into his house, or what's left of it. Things are missing. His space has been violated. His sanctuary is no longer safe. That's psychological warfare, fam. That's not just robbery. That's sending a message. And what's the message? You're not wanted here. You're not safe here. This isn't your city. Now, Shedeur is a strong dude. He's been through adversity his whole life. But everyone has a breaking point. Everyone has a moment where they say, is this worth it? And when you're not getting first-team reps, when you're being called a distraction despite doing everything right, when you're giving back to the community and still not getting the love from the organization, and then your house gets hit, that's when you start thinking about other options, other cities, other teams where you'd be appreciated. And that's exactly what certain people want. But here's where the story takes a turn, and this is where I'm going to defend Shedeur because he deserves it. Despite everything, the coaching politics, the lack of opportunity, the break-in, this man hasn't publicly complained. He hasn't thrown anyone under the bus. He hasn't demanded a trade. He's taking the high road while people around him are playing dirty.
Like, I'm just tired of Cleveland, bro. I hate Cleveland, dog. Y'all got my dog not getting first-team reps. Then y'all got people breaking in his crib. He go to the schools. He give back. What more do you want from the man? Then he had to say in the press conference yesterday, I don't want to be a distraction. So that means y'all going around telling him he's a damn distraction. He can't help that he got fans. Like, damn, y'all sitting here doing all this stuff. Y'all trying to break this man.
That's leadership. That's character. That's the type of player you build a franchise around. And the people who can't see that, the ones who think he's a distraction or that he doesn't deserve to start, they're blind. They're so caught up in their own egos and their own systems that they can't recognize a generational talent when he's right in front of them. Shedeur goes into schools in this city. He talks to kids. He gives back. He's trying to be a pillar of the community before he's even established as the starter. How many rookies do that? How many players with his pedigree come in humble and ready to earn it? And this is how he gets treated? His house gets broken into while he's out there trying to prove himself? That's disrespectful on every level. And what makes it worse is the silence from the organization. No public statement of support, no extra security measures announced, no assurance that they're taking care of their player. Just nothing. Radio silence. Like it's not their problem. Like it's just another news story that'll blow over in a day or two. But it won't blow over because people are starting to ask questions. They're starting to connect dots. They're starting to wonder if this organization really wants Shedeur there at all, or if they're just going through the motions until they can move on to their own guy. And here's the thing. If this was really just a random burglary, part of that unfortunate pattern we've seen with other athletes, you'd expect the organization to rally around him. We've got your back. We're here for you. Let's get you security. Let's make sure this doesn't happen again. But instead, cold shoulders. Business as usual,
like nothing happened. That tells you everything you need to know about how they really feel. Now I'm going to hit you with something that's going to make you think. What if this whole situation is designed to fail? What if, from the moment Shedeur was brought in, there were people in that building who never wanted him to succeed? Maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's ego, maybe it's scheme fit. But whatever the reason, there's been resistance. And when you've got resistance from the top, everything else falls apart.
And support from fans, teammates, and family becomes even more critical in times like this. Sanders' focus now will likely be on recovery, both on and off the field, as he prepares for the challenges ahead. Despite the tough start, many see this as a learning moment. Young quarterbacks often face adversity, but it's how they respond that defines their careers. Sanders has shown resilience in the past, and this experience, while unfortunate, could become a part of his growth as both a player and a person. The hope is that the investigation will soon lead to answers.
You don't get the reps you need. You don't get the game plan designed around your strengths. You don't get the protection on the field or off it. And when things go wrong, you're the one who takes the blame. That's the playbook for pushing someone out without actually pushing them out. But here's where Shedeur flips the script. Instead of falling apart, instead of demanding out, instead of giving them what they want, he doubles down. He works harder. He stays professional. He lets his preparation speak for itself. And eventually, the truth comes out. Eventually, people see who was really in the wrong, who was really holding him back, who really orchestrated the chaos. And when that day comes, and it's coming, there's gonna be a reckoning. People are going to look back at this moment, at this break-in, at this whole situation, and they're going to see it for what it really was, a coordinated effort to break a young man's spirit before he could reach his potential. But Shedeur's not breaking. He's bending, sure. The pressure's real, but he's not breaking. And that's what makes this story so powerful, because in the end, this isn't about a burglary. It's not about missing jewelry or damaged property. It's about a system trying to maintain control when control is slipping away. It's about powerful people making desperate moves when they feel threatened. Shedeur Sanders represents change. He represents a new era. He represents hope for fans who've been starved for a real franchise quarterback. And there are people in that organization who don't want change. They want to keep doing things the old way. They want their guys, their system, their control. But the fans see through it. The community sees through it. And slowly but surely, the media is starting to see through it too. This story isn't over, not by a long shot, because either Shedeur gets his fair chance and proves everyone wrong, or this organization shows its true colors and pushes out the best thing that's happened to them in years. And if it's the latter, if they force him out through shady tactics and manufactured chaos, the backlash is going to be legendary. People don't forget when you do a good person dirty. They don't forget when you sabotage someone who's trying to help your city, your team, your community. They remember, and they make you pay for it. So to everyone watching this unfold, to everyone who's been frustrated with how Shedeur's been treated, to everyone who saw that break-in and thought, something's not right here, you're not crazy. Your instincts are correct. This situation stinks. It stinks of politics and power plays and people protecting their own interests at the expense of what's best for the team. And the saddest part? Shedeur's going to handle it with more grace and maturity than the people orchestrating it. He's going to keep his head down, keep working, keep being the professional he's always been, because that's who he is. That's what Coach Prime raised. That's the Sanders standard. But don't think for a second that he's going to forget. Don't think he's not taking notes on who had his back and who didn't. Don't think this isn't fueling him for what's coming next, because the best revenge, it's not demanding a trade or throwing fits in the media. The best revenge is becoming so undeniably great that they have no choice but to give you your flowers. And then leaving anyway, when your contract's up, going to a team that actually appreciates you from day one. That's the long game. That's chess while everyone else is playing checkers. So where does this leave us?
We've got a burglary that's too convenient to be random. We've got an organization that's been cold toward their future quarterback. We've got coaching decisions that make no sense unless you consider they might be intentionally sabotaging his development. And we've got a pattern of similar incidents with other players that suggest this is bigger than just one city, one team. The truth is going to come out eventually. It always does. Somebody's going to talk. Some assistant coach who felt guilty, some facility worker who overheard the wrong conversation, some security person who noticed things that didn't add up. That's how these things unravel. One thread gets pulled and the whole thing comes apart. And when it does, remember where you heard it first. Remember that while everyone else was calling it a random crime, some of us were asking the real questions. Who benefits? Who had the means? Who had the motive? The answers might shock you. Or maybe they won't. Maybe deep down, you already know. But yo, real talk, what do you think? Am I connecting dots that aren't there, or does this whole situation feel off to you too? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the organization wanted Shedeur gone from day one? Do you think this break-in was really random, or is there something deeper going on? And most importantly, where do you see Shedeur ending up if this situation doesn't get better? Let me know below, because this conversation is just getting started. Look, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want to see Shedeur Sanders get a fair shot. We want to see him succeed or fail based on his own merit, not because of politics or power plays happening behind the scenes. He's earned that much. The kid's put in the work. He's done everything right. And if this organization can't see that, if they're really playing games with his career and his safety, then they don't deserve him. Free Shedeur. Give him the keys or trade him to somewhere that will. Stop the games, stop the politics, let the man play. And if you're with me on this, if you want to keep following this story and see how it all unfolds, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I promise you, this is far from over. There's more coming, more information, more revelations, and when the truth finally comes out, you're going to want to be here for it. Until next time, y'all, stay woke, stay questioning, and never let them gaslight you into thinking your eyes are lying. You know what you're seeing. Trust your gut. Peace.